Hello, hello, all you beautiful people. This is Abigail Barella with Sparkle and Shine Guidance. I am an astrologer, an intuitive healer, and energy magician, and I'm so glad that you're here. I want to talk to you about Jupiter's transit into Pisces and it's retrograde, which will be happening next month as we're still transiting these big energies. And hi, if you're just joining me, I'm talking about Jupiter in Pisces. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind about Jupiter right now is that Jupiter just went, I heard some important people in our world talking about Operation Warp Speed, or that Jupiter just did that. And so we are in a catch-up period now as Jupiter moves into Pisces. Hi, if you're just joining me. And as Jupiter moves into Pisces, we will have 1 month of seeing and feeling and being with this Jupiter and Pisces energy. And then Jupiter will go retrograde. And when Jupiter goes retrograde, it will start that retrograde period in Pisces and then move back into Aquarius. Now, it's important for us to understand the cusp then of the end of Aquarius period into Pisces. And one of the things about the end of Aquarius season is that it has to do, or that time period, it has to do with mastery of our mind and mastery of our emotions in a way. And when we move into Pisces season, we have the opportunity to dissolve a lot of what we learned during Aquarius time period. So when we apply this to Jupiter, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of luck, of benevolence, of spirituality and religion. It can, though, on the shadow side, be dogmatic ideas, over marketing, or like over propaganda, that kind of thing. It can also have to do with when in Pisces. Now we're going to talk about Pisces. The shadow side can be delusions, misinformation, and manipulation through emotions, triggering emotions and manipulation that way. So that's the shadow. The shadow of Aquarius is cold-hearted. Hello, if you're just joining me. Hello. The shadow side of Aquarius can be detachment, cold-heartedness, not tapping into the emotions, just paying attention to facts and the information. So good morning, hello, hi Alicia, hi Jeremy, hi everyone else that doesn't, it's hard on Instagram if I don't know you personally because the names aren't always on there. So Jupiter in Pisces is going to be expanding on our possibility for our own connection to the divine, our own connection to each other, the all one consciousness. And at the same time, we will have to be confronted with the shadow side, because we always do. And the shadow side is not being delusional in our thinking. Also, because Jupiter is expansion and the material realm, and Pisces is the depths of the ocean where the material dissolves. The material dissolves, it transmutes, it turns into something else. We don't want to go too big on, get too expansive on our finances, our not being focused in how we're giving and receiving energy. So this can also be from a partner, this can be in dating, this can also be in friendships, this can be in business. And this is why it's so important to look at your own specific chart and know where Jupiter is transiting right now for you. And so we're going to do this. So if you have a moment, you can pull up your chart, have it handy, or you can replay this once you have your chart. You can get your chart for free on my website, abigailbarella.com. You can also get it for free on astro.com. So I want to talk about each house, and I'm going to really stay on focus for each house so that you can look back on this and know what that transit means for you. So overall, though, for these next few months, so this is an interesting time. I honestly, in all my years of astrology, I don't think I've ever seen this. So we had Jupiter cruise through all the way through Aquarius. And then we're going to have the same thing with Pisces. So when we're looking at that cusp, it's really important to discern the different energies of Aquarian versus Piscean. And of course, when we're on that cusp, they have similarities as well. However, one is air and has to do with logic and thinking and also like the internet, communities, that kind of thing. And Pisces is much more about the emotions, going deep in the deep end, where it's boundless, where you recognize that there is no separation, as we can sometimes fall into that thinking in Aquarius time period. So, overall, Jupiter in Pisces has to do with boundlessness, expansion. It can be over optimism. So this is especially true dating, relationships, also business deals. Again, depending on where this is in your chart, feeling like, oh my gosh, like this is it. This is the thing I've been waiting for, and going all in, putting all your chickens, no. all your eggs in one basket, and then being like, oh shoot, like that was a scam. That wasn't real. This is also true for religious ideals, political ideals, any kind of, like I said, propaganda, marketing, really discerning for yourself what feels true, what feels right in your body. Compassionate, charitable, again, being aware of not over giving, but also if you're feeling compelled to give, this is a great time to find a charity, find a homeless camp in your community, because they're all over, and go feed and give food. This is like the Christ consciousness, really recognizing that we are all brothers and sisters in this together as a human family, right? This is also sparks the deeper artistic, creative, emo, like really creating from that place of your love, your longing, your deep inspiration. So that can be a really helpful thing too. And then faith, having faith and creating from that faith, moving forward in your life from that ultimate faith in yourself and in the universe. Hi, Sima. Okay, so this also has to do with purification. And interestingly, I wanted to just really quickly, before I go through the houses, so I am going to go through the houses, but before I do that, I wanted to share with you the card that I pulled from now till July. So this is this first month until June 20th, we have Jupiter direct in Pisces. So we are getting the big, like, here's what it looks like. And we will see this. If you look in our news or culture, you'll see these themes of Jupiter and Pisces. It's like, here it is. And then, but we still have to process it, right? So then Jupiter goes retrograde June 20th, and we internalize it. We're like, oh my gosh, where am I being asked to expand into it? And how am I going to step into this energy in a bigger, fuller way? So that retrograde takes us from June 20th to October 17th. That's when we will have, by July, lots of dates. July 28th is when it moves back into Aquarius. It's still retrograde until October 17th. When we go direct October 17th, it will be in Aquarius. And then in December of 28th, 2021 is when it fully goes into Jupiter fully goes into Pisces, and we will again see those themes resurfacing. We'll be ready to like synthesize it, metamorphosize into it, and it will be here. Hello, Anna. So we're getting these, like, this is a big energy. I'm pretty sure that you felt it in these last 24 hours, and we'll be seeing it even more. Now, that being said, Jupiter in Pisces, as we have a bunch of planets and energy in Gemini, that's a lot of mutable energy. And the mutable energy is changing, and it's a little bit ADD. So it's really important to stay focused on your goals, write things down, really stay in your own lane. Stay in your own lane. get out of comparison, get out of looking at other people's stuff, and really stay in your own lane, because this is a very distractible time as well, and it's important to stay focused. The mutable energy can dissolve too much. You're like, what am I holding? I don't even know. And there's not much fixed energy besides Uranus and Taurus. Gosh, I should have a chart up so I can let me see. But that being said, I'm just gonna quickly talk to you about Metamorphosis, the card that I pulled for now until July. It is the water dog, which is the salamander. And I'll show you. That's what it looks like, which is cool, right? Because this is Jupiter moving into a water sign. So if you have planets in early degrees of Pisces, you'll be feeling this even more. If you have planets in the end degrees of Aquarius, you'll be also feeling this, and you probably have been for a little bit. Water dog is able to bring relief to mental strains and discomfort. You may not be able to right wrongs, but you will be able to tolerate them. You will be able to remix and reshape your feelings. Much of the negative impact of a given situation can be mitigated now with water dog's energy. You are given powers to protect yourself against the daily bludgeoning, is that how you say that word? And shocks of our times. Guys, this is important. You will be able to protect yourself. And this is a lot of what Jupiter's energy is about, and Pisces. Finding ways to, it's not about armor because it's Pisces and Jupiter. It's about being able to dive into the depths and find your own little cave and your own little way of being that is free from a lot of the restraints that we're facing right now as a collective. When you feel yourself aghast at the barbarianism, the harshness of the human struggle, Water Dog can help you. He counsels you to resolve and use his morphic powers. He promises to rejuvenate you and restore your mental harmony. Let your quest for peace and happiness enliven your spirit. Walk the salamander path. And I love this because it's talking about harmony, which is a lot of what both Jupiter and Pisces energy is about, finding that harmonization. And Pisces is a lot about music as well. So if you can get yourself in situations where you're able to listen to music or putting on your playlist that you love. Hello, if you're just joining me, we're gonna go through the houses. You're just in perfect time because I'm about to go through the houses. And I just wanted to see, because I was just talking some stuff and I'm like, okay, oh yeah, Mars is in Cancer too at this time. So, you know, that emphasis of the water at this time and being able, it's not again about armoring, it's about being able to create your own little retreat from the world. And this is really important. Next year, so we're looking at 2022, which is crazy because we are almost at the midpoint of this year, believe it or not. Talk about Operation Warp Speed. So we are almost at the midpoint of this year. When we get to next year, we're talking specifically about February, March of next year. We will have a conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. And I'm not going to talk about that yet, but I just need to mention it because this is a Jupiter and Pisces video and it goes all the way through. So I just need to mention that. You'll want to look at where that's happening in your chart. That's going to be like crazy. So we're not there yet. I'm going to go through the houses and I'm going to pull a card for each house. So if you have, now the reason why I don't do rising sign astrology, so I won't say if you have an Aries rising, the problem with that, I don't do whole sign houses. So for me personally, I have a rising at 23 degrees of Leo. So when I hear that, like if you're a Leo rising, it actually doesn't line up with my chart. I have to listen a lot of the time to the Virgo rising astrology. So that being said, the way I do this is look at where the early degrees of Pisces is in your chart. Look at what house it's in. This is the houses of astrology video. So if Jupiter in Pisces is happening in your first house, this is going to be the part for you. So Jupiter transiting Pisces in the first house means that it is helping part of your spiritual identity come online. It's helping you to see that you are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your life. And if you have Jupiter transiting your first house, that is expanding upon your abilities of being a seer, of being a mystical being walking this planet during a time where that maybe isn't honored. And so as the creator, you also have to create your belief system that goes against, or maybe is in a polarity to the way that you feel like people see you truly in our culture. So it's really important to create for yourself that ability to create your identity as that mystical, magical being. This also might be a time, if you have Jupiter transiting in Pisces in your first house, that you come into more of your healing path, whatever that looks like. Maybe you influence some things into your daily routine, or you step into the healer role, like in some facet. So if you're not already in that, that might be happening. Also, if you are already in that in some way, like even as a writer or a speaker or a creator or an artist, there's some expansion to that. So that's exciting. If you have Jupiter in Pisces transiting right now in your second house. Okay, so this is about releasing the burden, because I will just say, if you have Pisces in your second house, when I talked earlier about, because Pisces is boundless, and because the second house has to do with what I have, you can also take on the weight of the world. You can take on that literal burden of the world. And so this time period is about releasing that burden and coming into more awareness of ways to transmute that for yourself so that you can stand in your knowingness. And that might require some guidance. So if you feel compelled to work with me, that might be a good placement for that. But otherwise, just tuning into your inner guidance about how to release the burden of the world and not take on everybody else's energy, because that Piscean energy can be an energetic sponge. And when it's in your second house, you might just take on that stuff. So being aware of that, and being aware of how you can allow money, resources to slip through your fingers. And you're like, what happened there? That's energy. And so when you seal up those energetic leaks, you also will stop doing that with your money. Hi, Living Lightful. Hello, everyone. Going through the houses. I'm on the third house. So if you have Jupiter transiting your third house. So this is early degrees of Pisces in your third house. And of course, like, this is just the beginning. And obviously then you might want to go back and listen to the next house if you have Pisces straddling two of your houses, okay? So this is third house. Ooh, which, you know, third house has to do with communication, so expanding on your communication. But in Pisces, it could be not communication that is words. It could be communication through music, through writing, through poetry. Oh my gosh. And gosh, release the burden. So if you have Jupiter and Pisces in your third house, I want to pull another card. What's up? I think this must be a theme because it's come up twice now. Releasing the burden. But in the third house, I'm like, okay, how does this apply? So I need a clarification card. Hey, traveling. Okay, so the way I'm seeing this is within your own communication, taking on the energy, taking on the voice. Maybe you have like an open throat chakra center there, and taking on the messaging of others. You need to release that burden. You need to travel into your own energy, travel into your own voice, sharing from your heart, sharing from your soul, not sharing from logic or what you think people want to hear from you. This is a time for you to really step into that. I feel as though I need one more card because this third house. So hi, if you're just joining me, if you have your chart handy, pull it up because we're looking at where Jupiter in Pisces is transiting your house. Okay, this is still third house. I wanted more. we got the traveling card, which I'm like, that is not an external travel. That is going within. And there's something about finding your own flow right now that's super important. Really pulling back from the doing, the comparison, the looking at what everybody else has to offer and figuring out how you're going to do yours like them. That's not it. You're going to go with your own flow. You're going to do things that feel right to you. And most importantly, feel like you can communicate in the way that feels right to you. So again, if that's music, if that's art, if that's sound healing, like a lot of times with Pisces energy, the communication isn't always direct words. It's an energy. It's a vibe, yo. Okay, we're going to look at fourth house now. So if you have this Jupiter traveling through Pisces in your fourth house, and you need to look at your chart to know this. And if you don't have your chart, you can look on my website, abigailbarella.com. You can pull it up there or go to astro.com. And if you need assistance, I have been, if you send me your chart and you just want to know, where is it? I will tell you. That's about all I have to offer you. I'm not going to do any free translations for you. That's what I'm doing right now. But a girl needs to get paid too. She's got 3 kids to feed, you know? Okay, so this is the Piscean energy. I have a 12th house stellium. Can get in that over giving, right? Okay, so fourth house. Got Jupiter and Pisces traveling through that fourth house. Okay, we're getting some interesting cards. The Miser, okay? So you need to get a little bit more misery. You need to contain your energy a little bit more. Fourth house is the house of home foundation, and there might be some ancestral, familial healing at this time that requires you to kind of get miserly with your energy in order for you to go in and do the healing and really have that support. So I see this in a way, it's like that miserly energy. When you have Pisces in the fourth house, you are not a miser. Like, this is not the card that's saying you're a miser. It's saying you need to kind of think about how much you're giving versus how much you're able to receive. And with the fourth house, there is healing that Jupiter is going to be expanding on, that you'll need to kind of just a little bit more get into that closed down energy just for this time period. Okay, I'm going to do one more card for the fourth house. Yeah, your whole existence is kind of having to metamorphosize and change a bit so that you can feel into what needs healing in your life and where you need to dissolve some old family patterns, some old ways of being, and you're being asked to expand into new ways of having faith in yourself and your own path and not letting the fear guide you. Okay, I'm losing my cards. Fifth house, we're on to the fifth house. If you have this placement happening in your fifth house, and of course with any of these, you want to look to the opposite house too. And you want to look at any planets or placements, like your rising, your IC point, your DC, your midheaven. If they are close to this transit, you're going to want to pay attention. Okay, so that card, no. Fifth house, yay! Guess what? You're maturing, maturation. And this is a card of really looking at how much internal, sorry, there's like a glare from my ring light, how much internal abundance you have, and really, again, taking that inward look and really going within, releasing the outside stress. That was the other card. So that you can really be in that place of recognizing how far you've come and how much you actually do have to share. But this transit might be more preparing you for that next step versus you like opening up to it, because there is that stress card. So you want to be aware of what causes you stress and making sure that you're looking at it from that mature level not looking at it from your wounded inner child level, because the fifth house rule is children. Oh my gosh, I'm like, what is the card on the bottom though? Because I feel like that's part of it too, is slowing down. We have our triggering, right, from our inner wounded child, and the fifth house is play, and the fifth house is creativity, and the fifth house is leisure, and the fifth house is hobbies, and it's also new love. So that's exciting. And when Jupiter's transiting there, you want to come at those things from your maturity. So it's a kind of interesting contrast, because Pisces is so boundless, I think there can be a lot of just going too far into that, and maybe because of that, needing to pull on the reins a little bit. And because if there's too much of that expansion, that might stress you out, like too much play, too much leisure, too much creating, too much putting your energy out there. And so that pullback is like, slow down, really come into that maturity, and then present from that place. So it's not saying to get rid of the inner child energy. It's just saying to pay attention to what does cause you stress and like leaks in that energy field. Because that is a lot of Pisces, that energetic sponge, like taking on too much, giving too much, that kind of thing. Okay, sixth house. If you have this transit happening in your sixth house. Oh, well, this is a time of creativity. You know, it's interesting because when Jupiter expands on your sixth house, it's expanding on your, day-to-day. It's expanding on your, yes, totally. It's expanding on your day-to-day, and it's expanding on your creative potential in that day. And Pisces already in the sixth house, I'm going to just say it. It's a challenging placement because Pisces it's like the polar opposite. So that sixth house is day-to-day routines, rituals, service to others. And because Pisces is so boundless, it's so expansive, again, you can get into that depletion energy. So even though it's a time of creativity, I want one more card because I feel like it's a beautiful energy to have in there. But since Jupiter expands on it, it's really important to pay attention to your health and your adrenals. And also, there's going to be a breakthrough. So having health breakthroughs, having ahas, having sudden ability to see where you were overgiving, where you were not servicing yourself first before you went out and gave to everyone else. So really with this placement, I would just say it's a time to really tune into your health, your well-being. And because Jupiter has to do with luck and benevolence, there might be some, like, again, that breakthrough energy, but also healing, like that creative healing and creative healing arts to get into that healing. So you might seek out alternative healing modalities or ways in which you can get even stronger or even more healthy in your body so that you have more energy to give. Okay, if you have Jupiter in the seventh house, this transit happening in the seventh house, this is a time to create new understanding. Now, this makes a lot of sense because seventh house has to do with partnership, but it also has to do with seeing things from another perspective, having compassion for others from another perspective. And I was just talking about this last night. This is why I love meditation, because not only are you wishing yourself, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace, you also wish this for others, and in particular, specific people that maybe you've had a challenging relationship with. Maybe you felt like they've done you wrong. Maybe you feel like there's some karma there. And when you can offer them that peace and love, it creates this release and this understanding. And it also, since we are all just reflections of each other, it offers ourselves more inner peace. So the seventh house, Jupiter transiting there, you might have more understanding and healing and forgiveness. This is also part of Pisces, is that deep forgiveness and that deep resolution, which can be really beautiful for past heartbreaks and also moving into new relationships and new ways of doing things. And if you're interested in this energy, I am doing a really special thing from June 1st to June 11th. So from moving into the new moon in Gemini, which is also an eclipse, I'm doing opening to divine love, opening to receiving more love. And so this can be in partnerships, in your work, all the things. It's an 11-day program with me where we're going to be doing 10 days of activities to opening to divine love. I'm super excited, so I hope you'll join me. It's $111 if you register before May 23rd. You can just DM me if you want the link. Yay! Love. And one more card for the 7th I feel like I want. Ooh. Okay, and this is that creating our reality from our vision. And this is Jupiter and Pisces is that vision, like that dream, and like dreaming up that dream, really creating that belief, and you can have what you want. You can have what you desire. Now, at the same time, like I talked about with the shadow of Jupiter, you want to make sure you don't jump too far or expand too much if it's just completely new in this energy of Jupiter and Pisces, because Jupiter and Pisces, again, we can dive in too deep and we can be deceived if we're not in alignment with our inner discernment. So we always want to have that inner discernment on. At the same time, if you have this happening in your 7th house, it might be taking your relationship to the next level. It might be expanding into a new version of you in relationship. So it's exciting. I know you're going to be here, Jeremy, for that. That's exciting. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the 8th house. Jupiter transiting the 8th house. Ooh, completion. So Jupiter in the 8th house has to do with other people's resources, other people's energies. It has to do with alchemizing. So it's a build upon from the 7th house where we're in partnership, but 8th house is taking it even deeper. It's the energetics. It's the deep alchemy, the deep transmutation, the deep healing that we need. And also it has to do with giving and receiving energy. So where the 2nd house, the polar house to that, is about mine, me, I have. The 8th house is about we, us. What do you got? What do I got? What can we make from it? And so this is why it has to do with sex, because sex is just two energies coming together and merging, right? That being said, there is this sense of completion with that process. And that means that there could be money coming in, there could be resources coming in, there could be just new levels of spiritual alignment coming in, which is like amazing, right? And honestly, if we can remember that everything on this material plane fades away and all we're left with is love, that's literally what this world is about remembering that we are all love and coming back to that, then it really brings this sense of completion to a whole new level, right? It's like that nothingness. It's like everything and nothingness all at once. And since the 8th house, I believe, is a water house, it has to do with the depths. It's just such an opportunity for completion and ending cycles and stepping into new ones in a way that is just so aligned and lit. So I'm excited if you have that happening. 9th house, if you have Jupiter transiting your 9th house, you're being asked to not compromise. And with that, it's also like, it's not the comparison house, but I feel like there is something like that, like not comparing. Since 9th house is the natural ruler for Jupiter, there is something here where there's this getting out of compromising, stepping into new ways of expanding your mind and your spirit, because 9th house already is Sagittarius's house. Now, Sagittarius sextiles Pisces. And so if you have Pisces here, it's a beautiful placement. This is someone who is just a natural mystic and has access to information that is helping to expand the global community, helping to expand people's spirits and souls and the way that they're thinking. With that, it's really important for you to do that from a place of not trying to look at everyone else and what they're doing, really teaching and learning from a place of your divine knowing and what you want to explore. Because, babe, the possibilities are endless. Like, you've got it all. So really being in that, don't compromise during this time period. The possibilities are endless. open to the expansion, receive the downloads, and share with the community. That is the 9th house. So we're looking now at the 10th house, Jupiter transiting your 10th house if you have Pisces in your 10th house. So I'm going to move on there. If you have your chart handy, you can pull it up. Ooh, harmony. So I do want to say, likely, if you have this placement, then Pisces is at your midheaven and Jupiter's transiting your midheaven, which is like the ultimate blessing. Like, hey, pay attention to this. Notice that inner harmonization that's happening and put work out into the world at this time. 10th house is work in the world. It's your public role. And so show up in your harmonized self and you will be rewarded. I don't know. You will reap the benefits of that. So making sure that you're feeling into that harmonization, use it to your benefit. Notice where in your life, like, you need to touch things that need that harmonization because you're with it. You're with it right now, and it won't last for, I mean, it can, but I'm just saying when these energetic points hit, it's almost like acupuncture or like on a meridian. It's like, it's activating it. So you don't want to waste that energy. You want to use it. And this is why I find astrology to be so helpful and why I use it with clients, because use the energy when it's present to you. Don't try to take actions when the acupuncture needle is not on the point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, you still can, and you still can make that happen, but it's so much more effective when that's getting triggered and lit up in the sky out there, right? So if you have Jupiter transiting your 11th house is Pisces, the early degrees of Pisces. Let's see what you got. Oh my gosh, all my cards are... Hold on a minute. Well, I guess this is the 11th house. I'm going to pull another card, but being aware of projections. We're getting some overall themes here, right? Not comparing, not compromising, and not projecting. Stay in your own lane. Really recognizing, because the 11th house is the community, and it also has to do with luck, and it's really beautiful to have Jupiter moving through your 11th house. This is a very big gift, and if you're stuck in projections or false realities or false notions about how other people see you in community or how they're viewing you, because this is Pisces too, you can't really see. It's like you don't really know how you're being perceived by others, and it's honestly none of your business. But if you're judging that or afraid of that, so then you're creating projections out to others, then you're not going to really be able to receive these gifts of Jupiter in your 11th house. Jupiter in the 11th house in Pisces has to do with you sharing your gifts of foresight. You sharing your gifts of this visionary, maybe, again, and this is another natural placement for an artist or a creator or a musician, and sharing that with others to help them. This is also the house of future goals, visions. And so because of that, Jupiter touching upon it, it does shape your future. So let's get one more card. Oh my gosh, I'm like, need to be done. I have one more house to go, but I'm like shuffling too much. Okay, don't cling to the past, but that's not the card that you need. The card you need for the 11th house is you are the master of your reality. We got the creator, we got the master. You're the master. Don't cling to the past. Don't get stuck in projections. You're the master. You're the master of your reality. You're the master of your future. And when you're in alignment with that, you're going to create from a place of service. It's not about like you're the master of others. It's about you being the master of yourself. Right? That inner discipline. Okay, 12th house. If you have Jupiter and Pisces in your 12th house, new awareness. This is like the card of removing the veil. And the 12th house is ruled by Neptune. It is the most spiritual house. It is where we dissolve the ego and we connect with the divine. It is the house of where God speaks to you, how God speaks to you, if you believe in God, source, energy, great mother, whatever, how it speaks to you. And so your 12th house is really important if you are a spiritual being. And so having this transit means that Jupiter is expanding on removing the veil, like new awakenings. And sometimes these don't feel good. Like they don't always feel good or nice, but they're necessary. So looking at, especially if you have planets or placements here, this might be true as well for you. because it always is. If your planets are places in the 12th house, it's always like, oh, there's more. It's like the ocean, like these jewels coming up from the ocean, like, oh, there's something else to look at. So that's the 12th house. And it's the house we can't see clearly for ourselves. So other people can see it, but we can't see it. It's another water house, so that's why. So, the last card for the day. Oh, okay. And another understanding card, which is funny because it's like sextiling that. So that understanding, oh no, this was the 7th house. Never mind. So this understanding and also seeing where you've been the caged bird, where you didn't need to be, freeing yourself from past karma, maybe even past lives, freeing yourself from past restrictions or beliefs about yourself, and really being in your inner freedom, really freeing yourself and removing the false notions, the ego dissolving, and stepping into your truth. I actually said that was the last card, but I want one more. So this is the 12th house. Another traveling card, traveling to new areas of your awareness and yourself so that you can be free and be aware and be peaceful. So thank you so much for joining me. This was the journey through the 12 houses. If you missed the beginning, go back. You can, I'll post this here and on my YouTube, so you can go back and listen. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I have a 1-month-long program right now that I'm doing that is your astrological birth chart, intuitive healing work, and my amazing signature course that you do self-paced and we can talk about and go over during our healing sessions. So if you're interested in that, reach out. I would love to work with you. I would love to support you during this time of great expansion and great growth as we're dissolving old ways of being that weren't working for us and we're expanding into our truth, into the light. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Take good care.